Hi, my name is Gordon J, and I'm the author of RomVault, and also collect a lot of ROMs from the pleasuredome website. And one of the questions you see a lot on there is how to join an existing torrent if you already have some of the ROMs in that torrent. How do you join at the highest percentage so that you can keep your share ratio good? So this video is going to show you how to take an old set of main ROMs and get them up to date using RomVault, and then I'm going to use uTorrent to join the latest main torrent. So here I have in my ROMs directory, I just have a bunch of old main ROMs. It's a couple of versions old. There's just kind of a mess of ROMs in here, just ones I've collected. This could be your collection from wherever it came from, doesn't matter. We're going to sort all of these out first. So also let's take a look on pleasuredome, and where we're at right now, there's a bunch of these little update ROMs that just take you from the current full set to the U releases that MAME has. And so what we're going to do today is get our current ROM set that we have up to the 0.146 ROM set. That's our goal for right now, and we'll see, maybe we'll go to some of these U releases a little later. But let's start by trying to get joining this main MAME 0.146 ROMs collection. Okay, that's our goal. So we have these ROMs. We're gonna start from scratch and put RomVault onto this drive. We're going to pull the DAT in for this ROM set that we're trying to join. Then we're going to download the torrent and scan our set with uTorrent and try and join at a good ratio here. So to start with, I'm going to go to www.romvault.com and just download the exe of the current public release of RomVault. So here we go. Into my demo folder here. Okay, so I just downloaded the zip, and all that has in it is the one exe file. So let's just copy that out. Okay. Also on my website I have a previous video that I did that explains a lot of the directory structure that is needed. You should probably watch this just to see how you set up RomVault and how you use it. So I'm kind of going to do this little section here pretty fast just to get us going. So watch that other video to fill you in on this section. So RomVault needs essentially 3 directories. It needs dat root, where we're going to download the dat to. We need rom root, where our ROMs are all going to get rebuilt. And it needs a to-sort directory. And so we're going to go into DAT, and we're going to download the DAT that is supplied by a new user here who uploaded this torrent. So we're going to click on the torrent link here first, and we're going to go to the forum to find the DAT that matches this torrent. So we're going to go to the forum link here. And so on this site here, here's the DAT that matches the torrent. So we're going to download this. We're going to plug this DAT file into RomVault. So I'm just going to save this. Yeah, right, that's fine for now. Okay, so in my directory that I'm building here, my RomVault demo directory, we've made that root, we made rom root. Here's still our ROMs directory with all our old ROMs that we're going to sort out shortly here, and the to-sort we made. And here's the DAT that I downloaded. So we need to set up the structure of how we want these ROMs to be sorted. So in dat root, I'm going to make a directory called arcade. This is just how I like to set up my directory structure. And in here we'll have a directory called MAME, in there we'll have a directory called ROMs. You don't have to do it this deep, it's just if you collect a lot of different sets, that's a good structure to use. And then what we need to do is actually need to put that DAT into that directory. DAT root, arcade, main, ROMs. And we're just going to extract the DAT into there. Okay, and now to save some time and to do this right, we're going to set up an identical directory structure in the ROM root directory. So let's get this exactly the same. The case is important of the file names and everything here. So let's pull up the one I just made and match this exactly in here. So I did arcade, main, and ROMs. Okay, so now back here we have all our ROMs. So we're going to copy all of those. We're going to actually move them from there into our ROM root, arcade, main, ROMs. Okay, there we go. So we copied all of our ROMs into there. So what we now have is we have the two directories. We have DAT root, arcade, main, ROMs with the DAT in it, and we have ROM root, arcade, main, ROMs with all the ROMs in there. So we've set up the structure that RomVault needs. So I'm just going to clean up a little here. We've put our DAT in the right place, and I'm going to delete my old now empty ROMs directory. And toSort is still empty. We'll come back to that shortly. Okay, so now let's start up RomVault for the first time here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just kind of go down the list of buttons. So the first thing we're going to do is hit update DATs, and that'll read that one main ROM DAT into RomVault. So there it is. And right now, so there's our memory directory structure, arcade, main, ROMs, and it's found the main DAT in there. This is all blue because we haven't scanned anything yet. So now we're going to scan, and this is finding all of the ROMs, the zip files now in our ROM root directory structure, and it's seeing what ROMs we have. And this will just take a moment, so we'll pause the video. Okay, so we're about back, and we're about finished up scanning that ROM directory here. Just a couple of seconds more. Okay, so if we click on this one DAT here now, over on this side, it's going to list a bunch of stuff. Okay, so start up with most of these front ones are still up in red here, which means we don't have them. A few of them have green, so I just clicked on 10 yard here, and it's listing the ROMs inside that one zip. So the green ones here, it is telling us that we have them. The green files, the red files are the ones that are missing in this zip. So if we scroll down a little too, you can see we're kind of missing a lot of stuff. And then further down here we have more stuff. So here's a whole section that we have complete for this current set. Some of the ones go by, here's some that are in this cyan color. These are files that it has that are just incorrectly named, just wrong. It doesn't know what to do. They don't match the current DAT. Most of these are actually needing renamed to match the current DAT. There'll also probably be some files that it just doesn't know at all and don't need to be there anymore. They've been removed from main. So what we do now is we hit find fixes. This will search everything and find everything that needs changed to make the file set we have match the closest we can to the DAT that we have here. So now if we take a look through here, a lot of that stuff's turned yellow. Here's some yellow sets. So now what it's saying is the second file is the one we have in our zip right now, and it's saying it actually needs renamed to the file above it. The tick means we can fix it. The arrow there means that it needs recycled into another name. And so here's another one. Looks like this actually needs to go somewhere else to a different file, and then this file's up here is still going to be missing. There's a key up here. I'm not going to stop on here, but this shows you what all the different color codes means, and you can read those and see what's what here. So the next step is just to hit fix ROMs. So what this does now is it's going through and it's fixing up the set as accurately as it can to match the files needed in the 0.146 ROM set we're trying to collect. This is laid out into like 7 columns. This side is the file being fixed, and this side is where it's pulling the file from to fix the file over on this side. So a lot of what's going on here is actually just renaming inside a zip. Is a lot of what I'm seeing going from the same zip to the same zip, but just there's been some renaming work going on in MAME to clean stuff up. So that's a lot of what's changing here. So we'll come back when this is closer to being finished. Okay, so our fix finished. So here's the end of that. Okay, so if we take a look, we just went down this 4-button list one at a time to see where we got to. Okay, so now our ROMs, let's go to ROM root, arcade, main ROMs. Okay, so these files now are the best match we can get to the files that we are looking for to be in that torrent. Now there's one more thing to join a torrent, is to make sure your ROMs are torrent zipped. What that does is it ensures that the internal structures of the zip files matches the files in the torrent, so that your files match, so you can join at the highest ratio you can achieve. So let's just pull one of these up. We'll take a look here. Now one way to tell that a zip file is torrent zipped is that the comments over here will say torrent zipped. That's at least to show that this file should be a good torrent zip. The way to tell for sure from within RomVault is to look right on the end of the report over here. There's a little zip icon over here on the end, and if that has a little blue, it's kind of hard to see, but it says TZ, torrent zip, on here, then you know that the zip files it's found are correctly torrent zip already. If you just dumped a bunch of zips in here from another source, then they may not all be already torrent zipped. So one thing you can do just to check that they are is you hit the torrent zip ROMs option up the top here. That will ensure it'll go through. Okay, in my case everything already was torrent zipped, so it didn't come up with anything. But if you had a bunch of ROMs that weren't necessarily torrent zipped, then that will go through the same process that it looks like when you're fixing, and will ensure that everything is torrent zipped. So now we do for sure in here have the best match that we can do with the files to join the torrent from pleasuredome. So let's now switch over to that section. Okay. So, okay, here we go. So we want to join this main 0.146 torrent. So we clicked on there. And now we're going to actually download the torrent file. So we click on there. And I'm just going to do a standard download. And what I like to do is just have another directory in here called torrents, just to keep those files somewhere. And save that. Okay, so there's the torrent we just downloaded. So now, and we've also finished with RomVault for now, so we're going to close that down. Close that down, and here's our ROMs. Okay, so now we want to join the torrent. We want to make sure that we set up uTorrent correctly. I use uTorrent, that seems to be the most popular torrent client for the Windows environment. So I'm just going to double click this torrent file and uTorrent will start up. I'm using a newer version of uTorrent. There's many people that like the old 1.7.7 version. That seems to be a pretty stable version before. uTorrent got kind of bloated with a lot of stuff, so Google uTorrent 1.7.7 for that version if you want. Okay, so when you click on that file, you get presented with this Add New Torrent page. In here you can see there's all the files that are in the torrent. So we want to make sure that this directory, this save as directory, matches where all our ROMs are. So ours are in this ROM arcade main ROMs directory. So we want to point all of these files in here in that same place. So that is RomVault demo, ROM root, arcade, main, ROMs. Select folder. Okay, there's one other thing just to be sure that this works correctly that you can do. Once you get sure about this, you don't have to do this step, but this is just a way to be sure that everything's good before you start off with actually doing torrent downloading and maybe start downloading files to the wrong place and all that kind of thing. If you just turn off this Start Torrent button, this way it'll check all the files that you have and you can be sure that you've matched everything up and everything's good before it starts downloading stuff and you realize something went wrong here and you've downloaded it to the wrong place. So that's just a safety thing for now. So we've pointed this at where our ROMs are, and here's all the ROMs in the torrent, and so everything should match up good. We click OK. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it check my ROMs by doing a force recheck. Now this is a very roundabout way to get there. And what it's doing now is it is going through looking through all the files that we have and it's seeing if they match with files in the torrent. Okay, so what I did here is actually sorted it so that all the ones that are at 100% are showing up in green, and it shows that these are the ones we have. So let's take a scroll down and we can see all these ones are now at 100%, so these files all matched. Then there's these files here and it's still scanning, so it's finding more and more matching files here. So let's just wait for this file scan check to finish. Okay, so that initial scan using uTorrent just finished, and there's a couple of ways to look at this. You can look through your files and see what you have, and these ones that are in green are the ones that we have that are correct. The ones that are in red are files that we're still missing. So you can look at individual files now and see what you have and what you don't have. Or if you want an overall picture, if you go to info, this bar here shows you what you have and what you don't have, and in the green section here is what I have. Looks like I'm missing a lot of stuff. I have about 20% of this torrent is where I'm going to join at. So, you know, I didn't have a lot of the ROMs, but that's better than starting at 0. So now we've got to this point, we can go up here and just hit the green go button, and what will now happen is we will start up that torrent and we're going to join. That's the best ratio we had with the ROMs we had, so we hit go and it starts up. We joined at 20.4% there. And it's going. And what you can watch is your download speed and your upload speed here. Download speed is just starting to build as we find other peers out there that are supplying this torrent. You can look at the peer list here. I have to sort this by percentage. So you can see there's all these people that have 100%, and there's a few people down here who are down at 4%, 0.2%, 0%. This person down here at 0.2%, I'm downloading a lot of stuff from, so they must have what we're missing. And so there it's gone. It says we're 1 day away from downloading this torrent. So I'm going to show you this process one more time. We did that little kind of safety thing there just to make sure we had it all set up before we hit go. I'm just going to do this again once you get to know what you're doing. I just hit delete there just to stop that. I'm going to do it again now, just like you would once you know what you're doing and once things are good. So I clicked on that torrent again. Okay, and there it is, it popped up in new torrent. Let's just check that this directory isn't still correct. That's still in the right location here. And so now that's, if we left that ticked, we hit OK now, it will go straight in, immediately start checking our files, and as soon as it's finished the file checking, it will immediately start downloading the torrent. Now if you did something wrong here, then it'll very quickly go through this thing. It will have found 0% and you're going to join at 0, and we completely wasted our time. So it's important just to watch real early on here that it is actually finding your files that you're trying to join with. And so the fact that this is taking a little while here means it's found our files, it's looking at them. We should start to see, here's the first green file it found turning up way down here. Normally yours will be up here if you have some. For some reason this set seems to have most of the last ROMs and missing all the earlier ones. So it's going green here, you can tell it's working, you can tell it's finding the files you have. The fact we did everything up front correctly in RomVault means we know that this is just the best we can do. And so that's it. That's how to join a pleasuredome torrent with the highest initial ratio that you can do with the set that you have. So